I'm Harry.
And I'm Richard.
Welcome to Dead Decks.
Dead Decks. Mm-hmm. It's delicious. What are we talking about?
Today we're talking about WCW Nitro.
Dubbya C Dubbya.
Yeah, it's a collectible card game put out by Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering fame. Back in 2000.
I'll show you when.
You know what that means?
And I'll cut your ass out of the shot.
Ooh, boy.
Hold on. Where are they? There it is. 2000 and... 2000 and nothing. 2000
and nothing.
Is that in there? Yeah, it's in there.
It's the...
What?
The timeline sponsored by Clean Asses.
That's right. Wipe that ass.
Yeah.
2000. All right.
Yeah, so this is about the time that Wizards was really starting to crank out some good stuff. You know, this is about the time with the Urza's block and all that. If you're in the Magic the Gathering, they kind of established how well that they could produce these games, and to me, this game turned out pretty good. And we'll get into that a little bit later. First, we're going to talk a little bit about how the game actually works.
Yeah. There's some shit. There's some shit.
Yeah, that's a sealed box of that's there. There's a first edition version like they did with Pokemon. They made first edition and this is a standard edition. This is a standard edition sealed box.
This is one we did a gameplay video on. Starter deck.
They made those in first edition as well, I believe. And for some reason, this one specifically had one first edition Buff Bagwell, and everything else in it was standard edition. So
yeah,
I don't know if that was an error or
no.
I'm not certain on that.
Yeah, they're completely fixed. You only want one.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to sell them, but I wouldn't.
You don't even want to sell them. They're not worth shit.
Yeah. They're all over the place.
The first edition cards be kind of hard to see because it won't focus. But in the bottom corner there, you can see where it says the little foil stamp says first edition. Kind of like what they did with Pokemon. And I don't know how many of those they made, but the first edition boxes are significantly more rare than the standard edition, obviously.
Yep. So what gameplay?
Yeah.
It's straightforward, which I like. So in the starter deck that we just showed, has a mat that has the rules on it. Just about everything you need. It's only a couple of small rules missing, which they could have put on there. Not sure why they did that.
Yeah.
That was dumb. Because it would all easily fit.
Yeah, it was easily added. It was so silly that they didn't put it on there. And they're relatively important.
Yeah. Yeah, they certainly changed the game.
Yeah.
But there's not a whole lot of them. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, we picked it up quick.
Yeah, and if you want to see, there'll be a video out prior to this one that shows gameplay with using the starter decks. We do plan, but not guaranteed, another video that will get more into the more rare cards and outside of the starter decks that we'll create our own decks and show how much more powerful the cards are outside of starter decks because they're very simple based. And to me, very lopsided. Just go check the other video out. If I was smart, I'd put it up here in like a little thingy or whatever. But you
ain't doing that.
You can just search our fucking shit. It's not that hard to find. Come on, man. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but we both agree. Well, no, we ain't saying that already. I ain't saying that shit yet. But
we're gonna hold off to the end, like big boys.
Yeah.
We're gonna eat our Brussels sprouts first.
So when a game really sucks, we want to start a video with it sucks.
Yeah.
And then just turn this off and go away.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. What we say with wrestlers, 5 types of cards.
Yeah.
Which is a good number, and none of them have a whole lot of attributes. Not a lot of thing on the cards. Not a lot of numbers. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Very simplistic as far as the turn procedures. You throw the action point down, or you get 3 action points per turn. You can get more with other stuff, and action points create what you can do. You'll see it in the other video.
Yeah.
So we don't want to get too far in depth in this video on how to play it because we have one of those.
Yeah, we played it and showed you roughly how to do it.
Yeah.
I think we kept forgetting one rule, where whoever has the most nitro cards, which is basically your equivalent of a resource, gets a bonus to their attacks, and we kept forgetting that.
Yeah.
Everything else I think we did right.
Probably. If not, whatever. The big thing about this game versus a lot of other card games is a life decking game. So instead of losing life, you lose cards from the top of your deck. Once you run out of cards, you lose the game. Though this game is played in what's called a round.
Yep.
So a round consists of 3 games, best out of 3.
Yep.
And along with that, there is a handicapping system based on your wrestler and how many points or what's their buff, their strength, their
reputation.
Reputation.
Yeah.
Okay, I knew there was an actual word for that. But the bigger the disparity, the more of an advantage the smaller guy gets.
Yep. It's built-in handicap range comparing the 2 numbers. So if they're within a couple of numbers of each other, their starting hand size, i.e. reputation, then you get the same amount of points per victory within the round. If there's a big disparity, then you could win an entire round, get all 3 points required to win it with 1 game. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting. It's also, you didn't mention life decking, did you?
I did.
Oh, you did say that.
I did say that.
Yeah. Oh, there's what I was going to say about
13
life
seconds ago.
decking. Well, I wasn't listening to you. One of the card types, Thunder, can be played from your hand and has a pretty nominal weak power. But if it's decked, if it's discarded in the process of you taking damage, then it can do something stronger, especially rares.
Do you have a quick example of the power disparity? Goldberg and Rey Mysterio. You have that handy to show.
Relatively.
If you give it a second, we'll make this a classic video as usual and wing it on the fly.
I'll dig through shit.
Yeah, so Goldberg, if you don't know what wrestling is, back in this range, the late 90s, early 2000s, he was one of the biggest, if not the biggest wrestler in the world.
Man.
He's a big old motherfucker who is now has a part-time role in a TV show called Goldberg's, ironically.
There's Goldberg. So he has a reputation of 10. You draw 10 cards when you start the game with Goldberg. With Rey Mysterio's scraggly little ass, you draw 2 cards to start the game.
And that's where the handicap system will come into play.
Yeah, if you can manage to win with that, more power to you. You're a badass deck builder.
Yeah, it's something we're going to explore in that other video that I mentioned we might possibly do at some point, where we're going to go into the extra portion of this game and show some of the abilities that you could put together with the non-standard decks, the booster pack stuff. Between us, we have a significant amount of open product that we can put together some decks. And after playing the starter decks, I'm kind of intrigued by it. There seems to be a lot of good gameplay in this and deck mobility.
Yeah, I really like that the rules, the infrastructure for the game is simple, and all the complexity comes in through the cards. I like that. I think that's the way it should be. 90-page rule book full of subphases and mechanics and all that shit.
Yeah, it's a very straightforward game. It's especially with starter decks, you can pick it up and play it in 5 minutes.
Yeah, easy.
I think our video, you'll see whatever if you watch it. 13 people that like to watch us. I think it's a 15-minute video and we played the entire game. So not an entire round, just a game. But we're talking about it too. We could probably play an entire round in 15 minutes.
Oh yeah. I think now we could. We're more polished. We could fly through that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
Trying to get ahead of ourselves. I'm trying not to.
Yeah.
So sets wise, they made 2. I think the expansion hardcore was what? Was that a quick follow? I think it was.
I think it was relatively quick. I got a pack here. That's what the pack looks like. They're pretty hard to come by. Somebody actually sent me this with a box that I purchased of sealed product of the first base edition. I don't know that they made a first edition. I would assume they did. I have yet to come across a single sealed box of this anywhere online, and I've looked. This shows a copyright 2000, so that would have been the same time frame as the base set. My assumption, we haven't done a ton of research, but my assumption was they released these pretty close together and just died. I don't know when WWE emerged and when all that kind of merged into one conglomerate. But I'm pretty sure it was pretty close to that time frame.
Yeah.
So that would likely be why there was no more sets released. Because the product overall is pretty good. We'll get that in a few minutes. Try not to get ahead of ourselves.
We've already leaked it out.
But, WWE Raw is still really popular.
It's expensive at least.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, it's still pretty popular. I think there's a lot of, and the game itself, I believe, is dead, but they've come on. People have come around and started making virtual cards that they keep the game going with, which is pretty cool. So wrestling is, even today is very popular, and this is no exception. I'm surprised that this is not, as far as the card game goes, more popular than it really is.
Yeah, no, it's perfect for a combat mechanic. I mean, wrestling fits that great. Two guys fighting, doing moves.
Shiny, sparkly underwear.
Yeah, I don't really know why they sparkle so much.
Yeah, you'll see it in other videos if 13 other people watch this. The cards, they're very colorful and sparkly for the age that they are. I don't understand that quite so much, but it is what it is.
Yeah, whatever. Dudes in underwear.
Dudes in underwear slapping each other around. Oh, speaking of slapping, these are the packs. They're not called booster packs. They're called slap packs. Oh, you don't want, no. Yeah, whatever. Trust me, right here it says slap pack. I don't know what kind of marketing ploy that was, but it wasn't. Maybe that's the reason why this whole fucking game died. Calling it shit a slap pack. Come on, man. I mean,
yeah, it's dumb.
Yeah, that's one of my big negative reviews of this game is slap pack is stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might actually go through cards at some point just to point out all the euphemistic card names. But
Oh, there's plenty of them too.
that's great. That's wrestling.
Yeah.
It's got to have some of that.
Dudes running around in underwear.
So I think you mentioned that the first edition is hard to get.
Yeah, they significantly outsell the regular editions on seal product wise. Even on loose cards, you're going to pay more. As a disclosure, I do have a significant amount of the seal product, including a couple of boxes of first editions. And I have sent several of these cards off to PSA to be graded, including all of the. I opened 2 boxes of first edition. I sent all the ultra rares, which we'll get into in a minute. Ultra rares are all wrestlers. There's no other cards besides wrestlers that are nope, take that back. There are a couple other cards that are ultra rares.
Yeah.
Not very many. Most of them are wrestlers, but there's a couple others. But they hold us, like Pokemon or any other first edition product, they hold a significant value increase versus the regular edition.
Yeah. You got to believe us. Well, probably should figure it out by now. It doesn't matter whether you own it or not. If we didn't like it, we certainly wouldn't have said we liked it.
Yeah. And I wouldn't buy a bunch of it. I think, long term, and I guess we'll get into a little bit of collectability part of it. I think this has a long-term collectability factor of good.
Did you say this was first?
No, it's a regular edition.
Oh,
I'll try to point. Well, I don't know. Right in here, right below, there's a sticker. It's usually in this area. I actually had to peel this one up to find out for sure. But right there, it'll show you that if it's first edition or not. It'll say first on it. And every card in it will say first edition on it. That's the only distinguishing factor that's on the card that tells you whether it's first edition or not. It's like Pokemon. But even the non first edition, I think long term, as sealed product becomes rarer and rarer, they will increase in value. There was a big boom when everything else boomed like a motherfucker, which was January, February, March 2021. Prices creeped up quite a bit on those. I bought probably a little high on some stuff. I've seen prices come down. I actually had somebody sent me an offer today of $100 for a box, and I passed on it. I think long term, if it's sealed, prices will increase. Anything PSA grade, especially first edition, has a high chance, especially high grades. That's the other thing about these. The backs of these cards are all black. And they're, if you know anything about grading cards, or just cards in general, if you have a black border, then you're prone to chipping. And out of the pack, a lot of these look like they had a significant amount of chipping on them. So I expect the pop reports, if you're into that kind of thing, to be pretty low on 9s and 10s. There'll be a lot of lower pop stuff out there. So if you can come across, especially a first edition 10 of just about anything, it's probably a pretty good pickup if you can get it in a good price range. If you can get first edition on a cheap side, I'd say less than $200 a box. It's a steal. I think even at $250, even $300, it's pushing it on first edition. Standard boxes, I think about $100 right now is a good price. And this is what month are we in? May 2021.
Yeah.
So as of now, if you're watching this 10 years later, I don't fucking know.
Who the hell knows?
I can't predict the future.
If we're still alive, whatever.
Of course, we may be in Zimbabwe in inflation terms by then, and a dollar would be worth what, 3/1000 of a penny.
We'd be buying a gallon of milk with a wheelbarrow full of cash.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, whatever. So artwork, well, there isn't any. There's dudes in underwear. Lots of photos of that.
That's one of the big downsides of this. Is it's
downside.
It's all still frame photo shoots from actual wrestling matches. There's no original artwork. It's it's all just it's pretty cheesy, especially in card form. This shit looks especially as in our age range in the what are we 85, 90?
Yeah. Ish.
In that age range, it wrestling to me it's pretty cheesy anyway, and it's kind of hard to even remotely get into it. But even back then, when we'd have been 18, 19, 20, I mean, I don't know. I guess you take with what you can get as far as the artwork.
Yeah.
It was easy.
Yeah, it's not as funny as ridiculous as Ultimate Combat, which we haven't reviewed yet, but at least they don't have the super fake ass, faces when they're getting punched. These were actual like stills from the show, so at least they were really wrestling. At least wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah. So it has that, and it's all licensed, so everybody has names, and there's specific moves for different characters. DDP's got his rapid fire punches, and
Goldberg's got this jackhammer and the spear, both.
Yeah. I guess another downside would be that the talent in the set is not what you might want out of something like this. I don't remember back then who all was in WCW.
No, it changed fast.
I think Hulk Hogan was in the hardcore set, but he wasn't in the base set. Your big stars in the base set are Sting, DDP, and Goldberg.
Yeah.
Chyna, I don't know if you consider her. I think she's
Bret Hart. He's pretty big.
Yeah, Bret Hart. And you got a lot of minor stars and people that you would still recognize, but not what you would consider heavy hitters. And there's not a lot of hitters no matter what. There's only 15 wrestlers tops.
We don't have a couple of the cool ones. Well, I thought big names for WCW, Kevin Nash and with the big dude.
And I honestly don't remember what the hell I sent off to PSA. I know I had 2 Goldbergs, and I know I had a DDP. That's all I remember. I might have had a Kevin. I think I did have a Kevin Nash.
Scott Hart.
Yeah,
he's cool too. Razor Ramon.
Sure. I did not get a Sting. I opened 2 boxes and didn't get a single Sting. The other thing, the ultra rares, which are mostly wrestlers, but there's a couple other corners, thunders, whatever. Very few, but they're inserted at 1 out of every 39 cards, I believe, if I remember correctly. Let's check, make sure, because we're well prepared. Yes, 1 out of every 39 cards, so not quite 1 in every 4 packs. You'll get a ultra rare, which would be one of the wrestlers. So, you get an average of 8 per box, 8 to 9. If you're lucky, a couple more.
Yeah.
If you're unlucky, a couple less. So you have a decent chance of pulling most of the wrestlers, but of course, there's no guarantee. Anyway, that's the chase card part of it. That's the only chase cards there are outside the first editions, and first editions you want your big stars. And there's there's moves that each player has. DDP's got a move, Kidman, Sid, Buff, Bagwell. So I mean, each wrestler has different cards that correlate to their wrestling persona.
Yeah. So what do we think? What do you think? What's your overall opinion? I think we already pretty much leaked that out, but
yeah, I mean it's not hard to hide. Or
what? The opposite of what you said. What you meant?
Yeah, Bourbon. I love the game. I think everything about it clicks. I like it a lot. I like even though the artwork is kind of shitty, it still has that that cheesy early 2000s feel to it. It's nostalgic. It has, there's wrestling, there's collectability, there's first editions, there's regulars, there's rares, there's foils, there's sparkly. It's got it all, man. It's got everything that I want in a card game. It's easy to pick up and play. You don't need a lot of patience, unlike other games we've reviewed that, you would benefit to have some kind of a degree to to get into it.
Yeah. Yep, I agree completely. I like it. It's good. And I wonder if anybody who's never heard of WCW hadn't seen it, maybe, I don't know. If you have no exposure to it and you're young or you didn't care at the time, maybe it's going to be harder for you to like it.
Yeah, it would be cheesy to a lot of people if you don't have an exposure to it. If you're looking through it through a nostalgic lens, I really think you'll like it. And the affordability factor is still there for now. I can't say what it's going to be 5 years from now, 5 months from now, 5 weeks, 5 days, whatever. But for now, you can get bulk lots pretty cheap. You can get singles pretty cheap. You can get boxes relatively cheap if you want to just crack packs. If you want to play a game, get your starter deck and see how it goes.
Yeah,
you can get that for $5 shipped if you look hard enough.
If you can just focus on it abstractly too, and mechanics are good. Mechanics are fun. They're clean, easy to learn.
Yeah.
And they work. There's enough variability there. It works well. You can do a lot with the cards. Let the simple rules stay in place. I really, really like that part. That made me an immediate fan. There's three parts of a turn basically, and that's it. That's all there is. The setup has like 3 or 4 stages. Turn's got 3. Everything else is in the cards.
Yeah, it's beautiful in its simplicity, to be honest. It really is. I mean, Magic got to be so complicated that they had to almost rewrite the entire rule book, especially about this time frame. It just got crazy. We've only on this channel so far reviewed Cyberpunk, and if you're gonna compare the two, holy shit.
Yeah.
We could play 20 games of this versus a half a game of Cyberpunk. So if you're looking to sit down and actually play a fucking game, this is a steal. This is great.
Yeah.
And you could literally buy 1 box of this and have a ball. I really do believe that.
Yeah. It's not your super strategic thing. It's just sit down and play something and have fun.
Nostalgia's there, collectability's there, long-term price increases I think are there if you want to be on an investor side of it. Go buy you some. Why not?
Yeah.
Oh, if you find any hardcore shit, let me know. Good God, that's hard to find. Fuck.
Yeah.
I saw a pack sold on eBay the other day for $25 for 1 fucking pack. Now I'm not gonna give you that kind of price if you have an entire sealed box, but man, I'd love to have a box of that shit. I love having a box to open because I don't know.
That must have been a small print run.
It had to be. It really had to be. All right. Well, what else we got to talk about in this shit?
It's enough words.
Enough words?
Yep.
Okay.
Tapped out.
See you. Bye.
All right. Bye.